Amen. All right. Take your Bible and go to the book of Proverbs. And we'll be over in chapter number 6 tonight. Proverbs chapter number 6, and we're going to begin there. By way of just catching you up, if you are new, I think we've been in Proverbs for about 5 weeks now. And so we are going verse by verse. Proverbs is a book of wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing, okay? Get wisdom, get understanding, don't forsake it. That's the message of this book that is compiled mostly by the biblical character that most of us know as Solomon. And so we are going to learn a lot. And as I've said, as you read through Proverbs, it's a good thing. If you wanted to, you could read one of these chapters per day in your life, and a lot of folks do that. There's 31 chapters, so you could read one for every day of the month and read through this book in a month. And as you read through the book of Proverbs, it is a collection of thoughts. It's a collection of wisdom. It's a collection of things that God wants to give you as an instruction to include in your life. A lot of the book is written from the perspective of a parent talking to a son or a father talking to a son. And so there's a lot of practical, relevant teaching and things that you can put into your life. Now, here's the way that you read it. It bounces around a lot, okay? He might be discussing one topic, and then he will begin to talk about wisdom again, how important it is and how much you need it, how much you need to cling to it and don't let go of it. It's more precious than rubies and silver and gold and most precious thing you can have. And then he'll give you a little bit more practical wisdom on another subject. And then he might shift a couple verses later to a completely different subject. It's a bunch of random tidbits of wisdom that are all put together in a book, and you can work your way through it, and you can glean a lot about parenting, about your life, about choices that you make, about your ethics and your morals, things that you should have in your life, the wrong crowd, who to stay close to, who to stay away from, who to look for as a marriage material, if you're single, all this kind of stuff are in here, finances, all that kind of stuff, all of it in the book of Proverbs, okay? And we said this, there's 5 groups of people talked about over and over in the book of Proverbs. So if you're new, I'm just gonna catch you up, okay? The first group is the simple one, okay? The simple one. You're going to see in chapter number 7 that the writer beholds a simple one here tonight and watches the steps that he makes heading in the wrong direction, okay? We're all simple at some point in our life, okay? Simple is not an age. Simple is a state of mind, okay? Simple, pliable, ignorant, if you will. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but you just don't know a lot about life. Certainly, young folks, high schoolers, young adults, they think they got it all figured out, but they're simple in their life. And so they've got to choose the path, or am I going to go God's path, or am I going to go a fool's path, okay? And the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. Am I going to go after the God deniers, or am I going to stick with the instruction of the Lord, okay? So if you're simple, you can choose which direction you want to go. You can choose prudence. The Bible says the prudent person is the second group that's talked about throughout Proverbs. Prudent. It means that you listen, you receive instruction, you listen to what God says, and you take it to heart. If you are prudent, you ultimately will end up being wise in your life, okay? Simple, prudent, wise. That's the path. But at simplicity, you can also go in a different direction. And the fourth group is the scorner, scornful. Those who do not accept instruction. Nobody can tell them what to do. Not God, not mom, not dad, not the boss, not the teacher, not the coach, nobody. People who just scorn. It means have a loud mouth is literally what it means. They do all the talking and they do not receive anything. They think they've got it all figured out. If you scorn long enough, you will be a fool. And the fool is the ultimate rival of simple, prudent, wise, or simple, scorner, fool. Good thing is, if you're on a foolish path, if you're a scorner or even a fool, you can correct it. You can get back on the right track. But there is a point where you may reach a point of no return if you stay on a fool's path, okay? And we talked about that. But there's time to correct and get on the right path. So if you're here and you have a lot of years behind you of living a foolish lifestyle when it comes to receiving the correction and the direction of God in your life, there is still time to get back and realize that you don't know it all and unlearn some things and relearn some things and get on a path to wisdom, okay? If you are still alive, then God's not done, right? Okay? And so that's what we want you to understand. And I hope just don't realize you're a fool. Don't realize you're a scorner and stay on that path. Okay, so heed, listen, receive the instruction. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 6 tonight. My son, if thou be surety for thy friend, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger, thou art snared with the words of thy mouth, thou art taken with the words of thy mouth. Do this now, my son, and deliver thyself when thou art come into the hand of thy friend. Go humble thyself and make sure thy friend. Give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thine eyelids. Deliver thyself as a roe from the hand of the hunter and as a bird from the hand of the fowler. Okay, now I'm going to read this to you in the, if I can find it on my app here, I'm going to read it to you from the ESV, if I can find Proverbs. There it is, Proverbs chapter 6, verse 1. Let me change it to ESV. My son, if you have put up security for your neighbor, have given your pledge for a stranger, if you're snared in the words of your mouth, caught in the words of your mouth, then do this, my son, and save yourself. For you have come into the hand of your neighbor. Go hasten and plead urgently with your neighbor. Give your eyes no sleep, your eyelids no slumber. Save yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, like a bird from the hand of the fowler. This is speaking to standing good for something for somebody else, or being surety, or giving a pledge that, well, if you don't do it, I'll take care of it, kind of thing. You have to be very careful in dealing with people and putting yourself out there to get, financially, that you will stand good for certain things. You've got to watch that, okay? And be very careful, be very prudent, be very wise. You've heard it said, don't mix business with family and friends and all that kind of stuff, right? You got to walk into things very wisely, okay? Because you can mess up friendships, you can cost relationships, and you can hurt yourself. So you've got to think through things, okay? You've got to be very mindful. You got to be very prayerful. You got to use a lot of wisdom. You got to think not just best case scenario, but what if it's worst case scenario? You've got to think through all these things and not get yourself into a place, verse 5 says, where you are as a roe or a deer and you're being delivered from the hand of the hunter, or you're going to have an arrow through you, okay? Or a bird from the hand of the fowler. So you're going to fly out of a trap that's going to ensnare you and hurt you. So be very careful when entering into agreements and things like that with people in your life. Be very careful of that. Verse number 6 says, go to the ant, thou sluggard, okay? Thou sluggard, go to the ant. Consider her ways and be wise. I love this. The ant is pointed out by the writer of Proverbs as something that you need to study in your life. Have you ever noticed ants just on the ground, just, obviously, you got these worker ants, the big, black ones, you got the red ones that sting you, right? And you've got all these, and they're always what? They're always busy. They're always running here, running there, and they just never stop. And they're carrying things that are like, my goodness, how are they carrying that? And they're moving this here, and they are always busy and always working. Well, the Bible says for a sluggard or a lazy person, okay, or somebody that just doesn't have any drive, doesn't have the drive to keep going, to make things happen in their life. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. You can learn a lot from an ant. You can learn a lot from that little critter that's running around on the ground, okay? They're always busy. What does that teach you? It teaches you that, guess what? Okay, you may not control all of what's going to happen, but I can guarantee you this: if you don't do anything, ain't nothing going to happen. Okay, all right. So you've got to get out there, and I believe that God expects you, yes, to pray. You know, sometimes people pray and they depend all on God, and sometimes, okay, you got to step up. I'm reminded of a story. As years ago, I heard this, and I don't remember the whole story, but there was a place of ill repute in a neighborhood. And this Christian man or woman, ever how the story went, said, "Oh, Lord, please take away this place out of my neighborhood. I don't want it there. Please." And they prayed and prayed and prayed. "God, get rid of this place out of here. God, get rid of this place out of here." And they'd pray and pray and pray, and nothing happened, and nothing happened, and nothing happened. And this bad establishment was still in the neighborhood until one night it burnt down. Well, they come to find out that the person that had been praying for so long had burned it down. And they said, "What in the world?" And he said, "Well, I prayed for so long, and I just figured it was time to put some legs on my prayers." That's what he said, right? I don't know about that, but anyway, so we're not promoting arson. But what we are saying, is that, God expects you to do all that you can do in your situation, okay? Don't just give it all to God and leave it all up to God, okay? If you're in a position, you need a job here, okay? Let's say, I need a job. I'm praying for a job. I need this. I need that. Or I need something in my life to whatever. Maybe it's a financial issue that you're facing, and you're praying about it. Well, God expects you to do everything that you can do, okay? Don't just pray, "God, give me a job," and then sit on your couch and eat potato chips and watch Netflix all day. Get up, go fill out applications, figure out, hey, how am I going to do this? Where am I going to do? Go talk to people, put yourself out there, put some legs to your prayers. Don't just trust it all to God. Yes, trust Him, but do your part, okay? I've heard it said this: pray like it all depends on God, but act like it all depends on you. Okay? Work like it all depends on you, but trust and pray because it all depends on God. But work, okay? The ant is constantly moving. Watch this: which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer and gathereth her food in the harvest. What do we learn about an ant? They're planners, okay? They're planners. They work and they store, right? Think of other animals that do that. Squirrels, right? They're putting stuff up and storing it in the trees. And they're always looking, and they're always trying to find this nut and that nut. And they're just working all the time, and they're planning for the times when there's going to be scarcity, and they're putting it back, okay? Now, this is common sense. This is wisdom, okay? This is what your grandparents believed. Okay, this is what future generations that built America believed, okay? But we live in a society that, okay, first of all, they're not busy. They don't work, okay? These people that come to me, "Oh, Brandon, I'm tired, and I can't make it." And I'm like, "Well, how you doing? What you working? What's going on in your life?" "Well, I got a job, and I can't get in, I can't get enough hours," and all this kind of stuff and all this. And in not every case, but you got an able-bodied man, an able-bodied woman, can't get enough hours. Well, pardon me, I got a question, okay? I'm only getting 25 hours. Well, you might have to have two jobs, okay? Because if you got another job working 15 or 20, then that's 45, right? Okay? Do it, right? "Well, I can't get it. I'm tired. I can't handle working more than 30 hours. I work 32 hours and I'm just busted. I'm just tired." Listen, that ain't gonna cut it with me, okay? If you're in decent health and you can work, okay, and you don't have a medical excuse, right? Then let me tell you something. In the world that we live in today, 32 hours ain't gonna cut it. Okay? You ain't gonna be able to pay your bills. You ain't gonna do it. You have got to work. God give you 168 hours in a week, okay? And you can do a lot with it if you'll stay busy, okay? Stay busy. Stay busy, okay? Now, you may not be able, and I say this because you may not be able to find one job that supports it all, You may not. Get you two. Well, I'm trying to find a $30 an hour job. Well, 2 15s makes 30. You got to do what you got to do, okay? You have to do what you have to do in life to make it, okay? But you got to be busy, and God expects you to do everything that you can do, okay? You got to do it. And you've got to store it and not use it all now, but save some for later. This is a principle in our finances that we are missing in this world that we live in, okay? We consume everything that we bring in. And if you make more, you just consume more, right? You just go out to eat more. Well, I got more money this month, right? So you just go out to eat more, or you spend it. You spend it. I'm gonna go buy more clothes. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna buy nicer stuff. We've got to watch this mentality, okay, of consuming everything that we bring in. Okay. In your finances, I'll tell you this, you take 100% of what you got, the first 10% belongs to the Lord, you're left with 90, okay? Your quality of life needs to be in that 75% and under, and you need to be taking 10 or 15% and putting it aside. You need to have some money in the bank. You need to have an emergency fund in case something comes up, in case you have to put a tire on a car or the water heater goes out. Most Americans do not have money, okay? If you said to the average American, give me $1,000, a big percentage of them, over 50% of them could not do it. Could not come up with $500 or $1,000. I can't remember exactly which, if it was 500 or 1,000. Couldn't do it, okay? Now listen, I know that there are some of you out here and you're a single parent, and let me say this, the way things are set up right now, it's hard for one income to support a house. And we live in an area, the rent's sky high, you can't, the houses are expensive, all this kind of stuff. I understand it is tough, it is hard, okay? But you keep trucking and you keep working and you keep doing everything that you can and you adjust and you live within your means. That is a biblical way to do this, okay? Do not debt your way. Blow your way, credit card your way. You are creating heartache after heartache in your life that it's going to create years for you to get out of this, okay? A lot, while we're on this topic, a lot of what we think is necessity is not necessity, okay? And I just want to level with you. Netflix is not necessity. McDonald's ain't necessity. Starbucks ain't necessity, okay? DirecTV is not a necessity. Believe it or not, don't say it, Brandon, this is not necessity. Did you know people actually lived in a time where you could not get up with them all the time? Did you know that? Oh, for the day, right? Where you can just disappear and nobody can touch you, right? No, nobody knows that you're right there and nobody knows how to get up with you. And well, what? And I know what you're saying. Well, because, right? This is the justification all of us parents have, right? Well, I got to get my 12-year-old a phone. Why? Well, they need to be able to talk to me and be able to check in with me. Did you know that kids actually were born and raised and lived and nothing bad happened before they could be touched all the time? We got Life 360 on our phone. We can see them. We can talk to them. We can text them. We can call. I get it. Because I got it on mine. But did you know if I look at sometimes, okay, I look at my phone bill for me and my wife and my son and my daughter, okay? By the way, Coda, you're 18. You're on your own, buddy. So I just want to use this public platform to, yeah. All right. I'm just kidding. So you look at that phone bill, and it's like, oh, my goodness. A few years ago, you could have bought a house for that. Right? Our grocery budget for the month used to be that phone bill. I mean, it's crazy what you pay for these stupid phones. It's not a necessity, okay? You know what is necessity? Let me tell you what's necessity. Shelter, a roof, it's kind of a big deal. Clothes, you gotta have clothes, not new ones. If you can't afford new ones, don't get new ones. And food, you gotta have food, okay? In that order. And then coming up next is transportation. You got to have a way to get to where you need to go. But did you know when you didn't have a lot and you learn to live inside your means, then when God blesses you with more, you appreciate it more? When Andrew and I got married, I never will forget this, okay? I was in Bible college. I was working my way through Bible college, all right? I had to work. My mom and dad wasn't paying for it, okay? They helped some in the first year, but after that, I was on my own. And so when I was in Bible college, I had to work to pay my way through. And then at a certain point, when I first started in Bible college, I wasn't married. Then I was married, and you're in Bible college, and so you got to support you and a wife and rent and all this kind of stuff. Well, a lot of the guys that I was in the same boat I was in, they got in a car and went off to work in the big city for whatever. They get out of school at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and they go work, and they wouldn't get home till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. A lot of times they'd have to go work 8, 10-hour shifts, then drive home, get a shower, get in the bed. You go to bed at 3 o'clock, got to get up at 6, go to Bible college again, do it all again. I didn't want that. So you know what I did? I'll tell you what I did. I went, and it was a big city, and I said, here's what I said. I did not want to have to go to work all afternoon. So I said, I will get up early and work before. So here's what I did. I went to the local newspaper, okay? And I said, listen, it was a big metropolitan area, okay, right outside Chicago. And I said, how many newspapers would I have to deliver every morning? Or how many could you give me? Like, when you think newspapers, you think of a little boy on a bicycle, right? Throwing it out, and he's got 35 papers, right? Well, I went to them, and I took route after route after route. And I got up every morning, and Andrea did too, and we would get up every day, 7 days a week, and we would go and we would work, okay, for 3 or 4 hours, and I ran those papers. She'd drive the car, I'd run down the street, she'd pick me up at the end of the street, we'd hop over to the next street, I'd get out. I mean, yeah, and you know, and you did all this kind of stuff, and we figured out a way to make just enough money to scrape by. In fact, we had $40 a week to eat on. But I remember that. And we would, get this though, we had a surplus sometimes. I don't know how, right? Dave Ramsey says rice and beans, beans and rice, right? I guess that's why, right? But we'd have a surplus sometimes, and Andrea was pregnant, and we would scrape up the money, and once a month, we would go to Cracker Barrel. Oh my goodness, how many like Cracker Barrel? And we would get that country boy breakfast. I would get it, and she was pregnant. She got it too, okay? And they give you like a steak, and they give you like 3 eggs, and they give you the hash brown casserole, and they give you all that stuff, and the biscuits and the gravy. You get all of it, and we would completely feast. But you know what? 20-something years later, we're still talking about that $40 budget and scraping by and getting to go eat a $10, $12 meal at Cracker Barrel. Why? Because you appreciate it. Live within your means. Learn to tell yourself no, okay? Learn to tell yourself no. Save money. Put it aside, okay? Provide for yourself. Gather your food in the harvest. That's what the ant does. Let's go on. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. Somebody that won't work and wants to sleep all the time, right? You ain't never gonna get anywhere in life. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. You will never have what you could have had in life if you're lazy, if you're a sluggard, if you're not a driven person. You gotta be driven, okay? You don't need, 10 hours of sleep a night. If you can't get out of the bed, there's your first problem, okay? You don't need that. And I'm talking to young, driven people. I'm talking to you 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings, 50-somethings, all right? You got to have some drive to you. The first step is you got to get out of the bed in the morning, okay? You would not believe how many adults can't get out of the bed in the morning, okay? You stay up too late, scrolling on Facebook, scrolling on TikTok, watching Netflix, doing all this kind of stuff, right? And then you won't get out of the bed. You got to get out of the bed. If you're not out of the bed, John Wayne said you're burning daylight, right? Okay? You have got to utilize the day. You have got to take advantage of the day, all right? You got to be driven. You got to have a plan. You can accomplish a lot more than you think you can if you will utilize all the time that God's given you. But you can't sleep it away. You can't be lazy, okay? And you know what? Back to this right here. This right here robs us of so much time, okay? The scrolling, okay, of the social media pages. And the new thing is the TikTok and the shorts. And if you're not careful, you'll get into an addiction with those 15-second dopamine hits to your brain that say, oh, I got to watch another one and another one, another one. And then you look down and where did 2 hours go? Okay? But then you can't pay your bills. Okay? And or your kids need this, or your wife needs this, or hey, maybe your bills are paid and you just would like to have some nicer things and you'd like to upgrade your life, like to have a savings, like to put some back for retirement or whatever. You can do it if you'll budget your time, budget your life, live within your means. Create a plan for your life. Tell yourself no at certain times, okay? There's things you can put on your phone that tell you, hey, this is how much screen time you've had. Hey, cut yourself off at a certain time, okay? Wife, husband, hold each other accountable. Get rid of it. But if you're not driven, if you're not up, and if you're not working on it, if there's no plan, you're not gonna go anywhere. If you don't have a plan in place, you're not gonna get anywhere in life, okay? And you gotta be up and you gotta be working toward it to get there. Verse 12, a naughty person, a wicked man, walketh with a froward mouth. He winketh with his eyes, he speaketh with his feet, he teacheth with his fingers. Frowardness, this is crookedness, as some translations translate it. Frowardness is in his heart. He deviseth mischief continually, he soweth discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy. Verse 16, it's an interesting few verses here. It says this, these 6 things, notice this, doth the Lord hate. Hate. God doesn't like these things. The Lord hates these things. 7 are an abomination unto him. That's a pretty strong word. What's the first thing that he mentions? A proud look. A proud look. God thinks that is an abomination. What is a proud look? It is that it is not a sense of pride in your children, looking, oh, I'm so proud of them, I love them, they make me, they touch my heart. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about that I'm better than somebody else, that pride, thinking, okay, pride can come up in a lot of different ways. You think you are better, you think you are the reason that you are who you are or what you are or as successful as you are, that prideful look, that air about you. God detests pride, okay? And let me tell you something. Godly people are humble people. Don't ever forget that phrase. Godly people are humble people. I always remember that phrase when I come across leaders in the Christian faith who are full of pride. In the back of my mind, I'm always saying, godly people are humble people. So when you are doing nothing but talk about yourself all the time and lifting up yourself, and you got that pride and that arrogance about you, godly people are humble people. So I'm always reminding myself of that. And just between me and this conversation with God, I'm like, my discernment's telling me that godly people are humble people. And when I see pride saying that it's godly, I wonder, be careful, be careful. Godly people are humble people. Think about the most godly people that you've ever met in your life. Maybe it's a mama, maybe it's a daddy, maybe it's a pastor, maybe it's a Sunday school teacher you had growing up. Maybe it's somebody, you say, well, Brandon, who do you want me to think about? If you were sick, dying of cancer tonight, who's the first call? That person. Those people that you know can get a hold of heaven, godly people. I guarantee you those people that you pop in your head, they're not arrogant people. They're not look at me people. Look at when you spout your resume of who you are and what you've done for God and you think you are the cat's meow, you are telling me that you're really probably behind the scenes very spiritually immature. And not really as grown up in the Lord as you like to think you are, okay? Don't be a person with a proud look, full of pride. Let's go on. Second thing the Lord hates, a lying tongue. There we go. What does that mean, Brandon? It means don't lie. Don't lie. Let me tell you something. It is amazing in the business world, just dealing with people on a daily basis. Whether it's you're dealing with a bank or whether you're dealing with a landlord or whether you're dealing with an employee or a boss or whatever, people do not value their word anymore. When they say it, they don't mean it. If you tell somebody something as a Christian, as a believer, then it should be like money in the bank. I will do this. And you shake their hand and you look them in the eye. Do not go back on your word. You be a person of your word. Okay? You be a person of your word. And nothing hurts the cause of Christ like Christians who don't honor their word. When you are, I go down here to Catalyst Church and I go there and I go Sunday morning, Wednesday night and all this, but you're out here and you lie to your landlord, you lie to this person in town, you say you're going to do this, you lie to your boss, you lie to that. Hey, don't you tell them you come here. Just keep that to yourself, all right? And I'm going to tell you something, and I'll vent. I don't know where Chad is. Did Chad leave? Did he leave? Of all times he left. Go ahead and leave then. Okay. Some of the biggest liars are the ones that are the biggest Christian talkers. Want to spout the resume, right? Oh, I'm this and I'm that and I'm this. And they'll lie you and you can't trust them. Okay? Don't you be like that. You look somebody in the eye, you do it. You tell somebody, I'm going to pay you this much rent, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come work for you, I'll be there at this time. You do it. And if you can't get there at that time and you can't pay them, then you don't dodge them. What do? You call them saying, hey, let me say something to you. I don't want you to think I'm not a person of my word. Something happened, something come up. I'm going to do this. And then you bend over backwards to make sure they don't have to wonder what's going on. It's called morals, called ethics. Lord don't like a liar. A lying tongue is an abomination to the Lord. Let's go on. Hands that shed innocent blood. Okay? Hands that shed innocent blood. That could be a murder. That's an abomination to the Lord. Murder and innocent. That can be everything from a murderer, a serial killer, to a doctor taking an unborn baby in the womb. It's detestable. It's an abomination to the Lord. Hands that shed innocent blood. Notice that, and let me address this here because this comes up when you talk about, taking life. I always get this question. Well, the Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." Okay, so how do you square that with the military and somebody that's defending their country and or somebody that defends from an intruder in their home? Are they breaking the commandment? Thou shalt not kill. Okay, thou shalt not kill in Exodus 20. Okay. In the context of Scripture, it doesn't mean kill anything. If we were to put it in modern vernacular, it would be do not murder, okay? You are not to go murder someone. okay? But if somebody breaks into your house with intent to harm you or your family, you have the right to kill them. Okay? That is not murder, and you are not breaking the commandment of God, and God's not unhappy with you, okay? If you are defending your country, if you're doing these things, if I just want to be real clear, it's do not murder is what the word kill means in Exodus 20, okay? And heart that deviseth wicked imaginations. A heart that sits around and just comes up with wicked plans and wicked thoughts and wicked things all the time. That's an abomination to the Lord. Feet that be swift in running to mischief. I guess the takeaway is you may find yourself in some mischief from time to time, but don't be running toward it swiftly, right? Don't be looking for it, looking to avoid it. Stay away from it. A false witness that speaketh lies. So somebody that accuses somebody else, but it's lies. That is an abomination to the Lord. And he that soweth, watch this, discord among the brethren. Somebody that's trying to mess up in God's family, the family of God, and you're trying to sow discord. So this faction will get an argument with this faction and sow discord, okay? Churches are full of those kind of people, okay? People that just want to stir stuff up. They just want to create division and create strife. You got to watch that. It's an abomination to the Lord, okay? And usually, let me tell you how to deal with these kind of people. They're in every church. I'm sure we have them here. I don't think we have very many of them. We've had them from time to time. But usually, what these people do is they want to come in. You want to stir up. And let me say this: it's pretty low when you want to come in and stir up and mess up what God's doing in a place. That's pretty bad, right? But we have them from time to time, okay? And usually they're very self-seeking, they're prideful, and they want to elevate themselves, right? And so in order to elevate themselves, they've got to stir up opposition to those who are in leadership or whatever then. And they'll come in and they'll stir up, right? You got to watch that. You got to watch that. Best way to do it is don't give them time of day. Don't listen to them. When they pull you over, hey, did you hear about it? Hey, come here. Don't tell anybody this. Or can I share a prayer concern with you? Right? Let me tell you what happened last night. Let me give you a little context to my prayer request. And it's nothing more, there's nothing like gossiping during prayer time, right? Okay? In Christian circles. But you come in and don't even listen to them. Don't even listen to them. And you got to beware of people that come in and they're trying to cut down or tear down. Be very careful with that, okay? Yeah, let me tell you something. My kids over there in the youth group, and let me tell you about the youth workers. Let me tell you about the kids workers, and they did this and they did that, and they'll just try to undercut. Let me tell you about the pastor. Let me say this about the pastor. I like him and all, and I love him. Don't get me wrong, but man, this, and I love him, but right. Watch it. I'm telling you. You're watching, and it's not that the youth worker or the pastor or above reproach. It's not like that. But you got to watch somebody that's always finding something to complain about, to try to stir up discord, okay? If you ignore those people long enough, they will leave a church, okay? They will leave a church. And usually they have left many churches. When you've been in 5 churches in 5 years, red flag to me, right? Usually. Now, probably somebody here has been in 5 places because you've moved 5 times and you'll come to me and be like, what are you saying, right? I'm not talking about that. Yes, there's circumstances where that's okay. But usually these kind of folks that stir up division in churches go from this place to that place to that place. And if they can't find what they're wanting there, they'll leave and they'll try to take you with them. You got to watch that. Okay? And so let's move on. My son, keep thy father's commandment and forsake not the law of thy mother. Bind them continually upon thine heart and tie them about thy neck. When thou goest, it shall lead thee. Okay? So you're listening to your father's commandment and the law of your mother. You've bound them continually on your heart, tie them about thy neck. When thou goest, it those things, the commandment and the law that you were handed down, it shall lead thee. When thou sleepest, it shall keep thee. And when thou awakest, it shall talk with thee. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. Okay? When you listen to the wisdom, when you stay away from the and let me say this about those that stir up discord. They may not be in just a church. They may be in your workplace, stirring up stuff all the time. Ain't never got nothing good to say about the boss or this or that, right? Or their coworkers, always just trying to create discord. When you have that, let me tell you something. When you have somebody sowing discord, all right, elders, you guys know this. We've talked about it, okay? It's better to lose those people. It's better for the body. If you are an employer and you have people that work for you and you got one employee that's pure cancer and pure poison, it is better to let them go, even if it puts you in a bad spot, to save the rest of your employees, because it is a cancer that'll spread, okay? So be careful of that. But when you listen to these things and you're mindful of these things and you monitor these things and you adhere to these thoughts that the Lord is giving us here, you do that, it keeps you, it leads you, and it's a lamp that lights your way. What does it keep you from? Verse 24, to keep thee from the evil woman. Okay, we talked about that last week. This father is teaching his son what kind of woman to watch out for, and he gives her some pretty specific things to watch out for. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman, okay? And we talked about that last week, the lustful, the adulterous woman, the strange woman, as the Bible says. What is she? She is very flattering with her tongue. Now, this could be, he applies it to a woman here, but you could certainly flip it around to the man, right? And something that's setting up an adulterous type situation. Usually there's flattering, there's flirtation, and we talked about that last week as far as what to watch. But keep from the flattery of the tongue of the strange woman. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids, okay? For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. There's a warning specifically here to men. You lust after their beauty, you pay attention to their flirtatious words, you watch their eyelids, you continually tempt here, you will be brought to a piece of bread, you'll crumble, okay? And you gotta watch that. Don't let her take thee, okay? And the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Notice this, can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? You're playing with fire, is what he's saying. Can one go upon hot coals and his feet not be burned? So he that goeth into his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her shall not be innocent. Men do not despise a thief if he's still to satisfy his soul when he's hungry. If you break into somebody's house and they find out you were just starving to death and you needed some food, that's one thing. But when you go into your neighbor's wife and you touch her, the Bible says he's not going to be real happy about that. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding, okay? Oh, watch this. I skipped verse 31. So verse 30 said, men do not despise a thief if he's still to the satisfying his soul when he's hungry. But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man. So the husband is going to be jealous and enraged, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom. So you can't buy off his anger, neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts. So here's the warning. You can avoid all that if you stay away from her flirtatious words and her flirtatious looks, right? And so we reiterate it again. Okay, married, single, whatever you are here, the opposite sex, when they are flirting with you, when they are flattering to you, when they are trying to seduce you with words, actions, looks, things, you've got to watch that. It will be flattering to you and you will crumble, right, under the right circumstances. And usually those temptations come along, listen to me, when you're at your weakest. The devil knows when to bring out temptation to you. When you're at your weakest, that's when you are going to get those. When you're strong, you don't pick up on it as much or whatever, but you've got to watch out with that, okay? You got to watch out for the opposite sex, the looks, the talking, all this kind of stuff. There are things that should not be said to the opposite sex, okay? You got to be careful, just in general, with your friendships with the opposite sex, guys. Okay? Your friendships with the opposite sex. Oh, well, okay. Now, listen to me. Be careful. You ladies that have these guy friends, you got a bunch of guy friends and they're real close. Okay, I think you're playing with fire. Okay. Oh well, they would never. Let me tell you how guys are. Guys, you gotta watch them. Okay. Right. You gotta be careful because guys and girls, I don't know if you know this, are different. And what you may be thinking is innocent, guys may not be thinking is innocent, okay? Be very careful with that. Husbands, wives, you better be very, very careful with that, okay? Very careful. And I'm not gonna make a blanket statement that you should never have, but you shouldn't have anybody that dominates your life and your time outside of your spouse, okay? Be very careful with that, very careful. Be guarded against it. And if your husband or your wife have a problem with how much, friendship or time or this that you spend, you better be very mindful and very tuned in to what your husband and your wife, their wants, their needs. You better listen to your spouse in that situation. I'm telling you, it's dicey water. And in fact, it's much simpler if you don't have members of the opposite sex that are close to you. Okay, I'm not going to say in every circumstance because I have seen it work, but you just got to be careful. And this is the warning, okay? This is the warning. We got to be careful. Let's read on here. Chapter 7 says, my son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. So he's putting plugs in for wisdom and understanding and commandments. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman, that they may keep thee from the strange woman. Oh, there she is again, right? With the stranger which flattereth with her words, right? It's always that, isn't it? It's always that. What is flattering with her words? What is flattering with his words? It is what we call flirting. Or, listen, okay? I can't tell you how many times over the years, just since social media, you reach back out and connect with an old friend or an old flame or something like that, and things aren't going good at home, and so you start with the messages and you start with this, and it's just the flattery, it's the allure, it's the flirtation, it's that, and then it leads down a slippery slope that really causes a lot of problems. You got to be very careful with it. But notice these are repeated over and over. Now watch this. From the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. Now watch this scene play out, and this is where we'll end tonight. Verse number 7, and behold, verse 6, I'm sorry. For at the window of my house, I looked through my casement, or my window, and beheld among the simple ones. Notice the simple one, okay? What is the simple one? The ignorant one, the one that doesn't really know what's going on, right? Walking down a path, don't realize where they're headed, okay? I discerned among the youths. So notice the youths are the simple ones here. The youths, yeah. The youths, I discern among the youths a young man void of understanding. Now watch this. Passing through the street near her corner. Okay? So this is probably a loose woman, a prostitute, if you will. Okay, and she has a corner, okay? That's a big clue, okay? All right, And so this youth, this man void of understanding, is what? He passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. Let me tell you something. This simple one here, he don't know a lot, but he knows what he's doing. He's at the wrong place. He thinks the right place. He's there at the wrong time. He thinks it's the right time, right? And he's right by her house. There's the place and there's the time. Notice the time. The twilight, the evening, the black and dark night, okay? Let me say something to you right here. Nighttime is for bedtime, okay? Let me say that to you, all right? When you get out, and I understand these young kids want to stay up, and they want to stay out till 12 or 1 in the morning and all that kind of stuff, and I'm with you with raising my kids to a certain extent, but let me tell you something. You got to be real careful because bad things happen at nighttime, okay? All right? Nighttime is for bedtime. 9 o'clock is bedtime, okay? I just want you to know that, right? Unless you're dying, don't you call me after 9 o'clock, okay? So, I just want you to see this. This guy knows what he's doing. He's going near her corner, okay? And he's going at night. And he knows he's going right by her house, okay? Now, what is he doing? He's making provision for his flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. He's making it easy on himself to run into her, to have things that he wants to happen in the back of his head happen, okay? That's how sin works. The Bible says you're drawn away of your own lust and enticed. Drawn away of your own lust and enticed. Devil gets a lot of credit for what you do and what I do. We put ourselves in position for bad things to happen, and then we say, oh, it just happened. Well, you could have distanced yourself. Okay? Don't pass that side of town. Why? Well, it's known for something, right? She got a corner. Let's just go somewhere else. Let's not even go over there. And let's dead sure not go at night. Okay? But what happens? He goes, and behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. She is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house. Now, let me tell you something here, all right? There are descriptions here that of this harlot, okay, this prostitute on this corner. Now, these descriptions in and of themselves don't make her a harlot, okay? She is, back up one verse number 10. She is dressed with the attire of an harlot. So she's probably very provocative in her dress, very revealing in her dress. Now, every person that wears something provocative or revealing is not a prostitute, okay? But a prostitute does wear things very revealing and provocative, okay? So that is something that she has. Look at the next verse. She's subtle of heart. She's tricky. She's tricky. She's angling around, okay? So she's loud and stubborn. Now, every woman that is loud and stubborn is not a prostitute, okay? But the kind of woman that he's warning you for is scantily clad, okay? We are not to show our bodies. There is to be a modesty about us, okay? Should be a modesty about us, okay? We should not be flaunting or trying to, draw attention to our body parts, and especially ladies, you got to be very careful with that, okay? God made you beautiful. You got to be very careful with that, okay? Now, let me say this, but just as much as I'm saying that to the women, guys, you got to be appropriate with your eyes, okay? You got to be appropriate with your eyes, all right? If you see something one time, that's not wrong, but when you're going back and looking the second and the third and the fourth and the seventh time, then you are playing around with fire. So you got to be very careful with that, okay? But notice this, she's loud and stubborn, okay? So that is that's a description of her, okay? You want to stay away from loud and stubborn women? I'll just go ahead and say it, all right? There you go, all right. Her feet abide not in her house. So she's always on the prowl out there, Now, this is the description of this lady. Now she is without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. Watch what she does now. She's very forward to him. So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, here's what she says, I have peace offerings with me. This day have I paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee diligently, to seek thy face, and I have found thee. I've been looking for you, all right? And I got just the plan. This is just the right time in my life. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, with fine linen of Egypt. She paints a pretty picture, right? I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. She smells good. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. For the goodman is not at home. He's gone a long journey. He hath taken a bag of money with him and will come home at the day appointed. And with her much fair speech, she caused him to yield, and with the flattering of her lips, she forced him. Notice this, okay? So she's got it all planned out. She had a plan. She's been waiting for him to come. He was drawn away of his own lust and wanted that, okay? He should have not even went to that part of town. You don't resist temptation, you avoid temptation, right? But what happened? She caught him, she kissed him. She forced herself on him. She painted the plan to him. And what? Verse number 21 says this, with her much fair speech. So he took some persuading. She caused him to what? Yield. You know what the devil wants you to do? You know what the enemy wants you to do? He just wants you to stop and window shop for a minute at the wrong thing. He just wants you to stop. That's why Psalm 1 says, right? The blessed man does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stand in the way of sinners, nor sit in the seat of the scornful. It's a progression. He's walking by, then he's standing, then he's sitting where he shouldn't be. Here, you got to watch out for this, and he's telling you the kind of this young man, this kind of woman to watch out for, kind of part of town to watch out for, part of time of day to watch out for, right? Okay? But she caused him to yield with the flattering of her lips. She forced him. He goeth after her straightway as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks, right? Like a big, dumb cow in a chute going, right? And it's about to cost him all of it, everything. Till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Watch what he says here, and this is the last point, verse 25. Let not thine heart decline to her ways, go not astray in her paths. Two things here. You gotta watch and stay away. You cannot let, here's the problem. You gotta watch your heart. You gotta not let your heart attach to the wrong people. Okay, ladies to the wrong men, men to the wrong women. You cannot let your heart get involved with that wrong person. You've got to use discernment, okay? He let his heart, she's tempting him, flattering him. He's here, she smells good, she's describing what she's gonna do, and it seduces him into doing what he never should have done because he let his heart get pulled in, reeled in by her. So you got to guard your heart, for out of it are the issues of life, the boundaries of life. Guard your heart, guard your mind, guard what you allow yourself to think. And then watch what he says, go not astray in her paths. Okay? If he had guarded his heart and stayed away from the temptation, he wouldn't have been like a dumb ox walking to the slaughter. Okay? You got to stay away from the wrong crowd. You got to stay away from the wrong things. You got to stay away from temptation. You cannot resist temptation. Okay, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. The one that's in you is greater and stronger than the one that's in the world. You ain't. Do you hear me? Okay. And ladies, did I read all of it? Two more. Let's read it real quick so I can say I did. Here we go. Next verse. For she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. Okay? Be careful. Be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. Watch out, ladies, for those smooth-talking guys that say all the right things at the most vulnerable times. Men, watch out for the ladies that say all the right things and flatter at the most vulnerable times in your life. Watch out for it. Guard your heart. Stay away from the path that leads that down. But there are some warning signs, okay? There are some warning signs, okay, to the kind of people that you shouldn't be around, all right? They're in the wrong areas, doing the wrong things, okay? Dressed the wrong way, talking the wrong way, right? Flirty, loud, stubborn, just red flag, red flag, red flag. Watch it. Watch it, watch it, watch it, okay? Why is the Lord telling us this? Because wisdom's a principal thing. He loves us. And if you follow this, you'll be safe. It'll keep you. You'll have a blessed life. It'll add years to your life. This is the wisdom that he's telling us about in the book of Proverbs, okay? Thank you for being here tonight. We love you, and we hope to see you Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. And don't forget, hey, if you want a tour of Catalyst Church, be here at 9:30 this coming Sunday morning. The first Sunday of each month, we're going to do this. If you're new to our church and you've never seen the whole facility, Kat Tyson, meet her at the lobby out here at 9:30 this coming Sunday for a tour. And I think there's a sign-up sheet if you want to sign up for it tonight. So let's go. Men's meeting Saturday morning at 7:30. Don't forget that. Lord, go with us. Bless us. Thank you for this practical, relevant teaching tonight, and help us to apply it to our lives.